Bill Murray once said that the funniest summer of his life was also the one that taught him something no comedy class ever could. And the lesson didn't come from a script. It came from watching a 58-year-old man stand in front of a silent film crew, completely stripped of the only tool he'd ever trusted, and refused to quit. That man was Rodney Dangerfield. And the place was a sun-drenched Florida golf course in 1979, where one of cinema's most beloved comedies was being built almost entirely without a plan. Dangerfield had clawed his way to fame the hard way. Born Jacob Cohen in 1921, he spent his teenage years scribbling jokes on scrap paper while delivering groceries after school. He hit the road as a young comedian, bombed relentlessly, and eventually walked away from the whole thing at 30. He married, had kids, and spent a decade knocking on strangers' doors, selling aluminum siding, carrying a quiet depression he rarely talked about. The jokes never fully stopped coming, though. At 45, with nothing left to lose, he tried again. It took years of grinding through nightclubs before he landed on the persona that finally clicked. The twitchy, self-deprecating loser in the too-tight collar who couldn't catch a break. His signature line, "I don't get no respect," wasn't just a punchline. It was a life philosophy that millions of people recognized instantly as their own. By the time Caddyshack came along, Dangerfield was a stand-up legend, but a virtual unknown on film. His character, the brash millionaire Al Chervik, was his first major movie role. And from the start, something was wrong. He had spent 3 decades feeding off live audience laughter. On a film set, that laughter didn't exist. The crew stayed silent during takes to protect the audio, and Dangerfield genuinely couldn't tell if anything was working. Someone had to explain to him, at the height of his career, why nobody was laughing. Murray, meanwhile, was barely supposed to be there. His character, groundskeeper Carl Spackler, had almost nothing on the page. Just a couple of lines of stage direction. Director Harold Ramis quickly realized what he had. A performer who didn't need a script at all. Ramis eventually stopped calling action for Murray's scenes and simply let the camera run. The now legendary Dalai Lama monologue about total consciousness as a tip, built entirely from scratch, take after take, until something brilliant stuck. What Murray has said in the years since, now approaching 76, is that watching Dangerfield push through that disorienting experience changed how he thought about courage. Here was a man in his late 50s, already a legend, willing to feel completely lost rather than pretend his way through it. Murray has said he came away from that shoot with a deep respect for performers who keep showing up even when the room gives them nothing back. Dangerfield passed away in October 2004. But the tribute Murray has quietly offered him over the years isn't a grand speech or a formal eulogy. It's something simpler. The acknowledgement that a chaotic Florida summer, 2 performers who barely shared the screen, and a film nobody expected to last, built something that audiences are still quoting more than 45 years later. Comedy built on trust between performers outlasts comedy built on a perfect script. That's what Caddyshack proved, and that's the truth Murray finally told. If you love the real stories behind the comedies you grew up with, hit like and subscribe. There are plenty more where this one came from.